So the only fees must fall activist still in prison. We'll find out if he will get bail today. His legal team will also petition the High Court to set aside his sentence and conviction. Khanya Cekeshe is serving a 5-year sentence for malicious damage to property for trying to set a police car alight at the height of the student protest 3 years ago. Our Slindolo Masikane has been tracking that story and joins us now from court. Slindolo, you're just outside court. Have the proceedings begun yet? And maybe just start at the beginning for us and just track back and tell us how we ended up here with this particular case.
So in December 2017, Khanya Cekeshe was sentenced to 8 years for malicious damage to property as well as public violence charges. From those 8 years, 3 years were suspended, meaning he would effectively spend at least 5 years in prison before he would be released. However, he then received new legal representation that has brought up a number of issues in the manner in which his trial was conducted, in the manner in which his guilty plea statement was admitted to the courts, as well as a number of poor lawyering in which he received from his previous legal representation. Those were the reasons in which his new legal team then lodged an application to the High Court to set aside his sentence as well as his conviction. And what we're seeing today is the judgment of another bail application, which his new legal team also then put into the courts in order for Cekeshe to then at least be released on bail while his legal team deals with setting aside his conviction as well as his sentence. And what we were expecting today was the magistrate to deliver that judgment. And of course, court proceedings started at around 9 a.m. this morning. And since then, we've had at least 2 adjournments in which the magistrate has brought up the fact that he has not received the application for condemnation. And what that means essentially is that Cekeshe had around 14 days after he was sentenced in order to bring in an application for leave to appeal. That didn't happen, and so this application for condemnation is basically an apology and an explanation as to why, what are the reasons why he did not apply for leave to appeal within the prescribed time frame of 14 days. And so before the magistrate would deliver his judgment, he said that he in particular was looking for that application, and we understand that now proceedings will only resume at around 2 p.m. I am joined by another Fees Must Fall activist. I'd like to bring in Mcebo Dlamini, who himself is also facing possible jail time for his actions during the Fees Must Fall protest. I understand his trial, I think, will be beginning in around November, the 12th of November. But Khanya Cekeshe is the only Fees Must Fall activist in prison, while many others are also still fighting cases outside. Why do you think this is taking so long, Mcebo?
Well, look, we have always been saying that the state has never had a case on any of the student activists. So they will always look for technicalities and trivial issues, just to delay and frustrate the process. Because remember that a legal process by its nature is expensive. Now, if you keep on dragging and postponing the proceedings, the lawyers who are actually acting on these matters pro bono will tire. They will get tired. They have other big cases where they are paid to handle those such matters. 2 years, it's a long time for someone to be doing a pro bono case. So the state is really playing dirty tricks. They are acting, in bad faith in everything that is happening. The lawyers of the student activists of Cekeshe says they filed the condemnation, file, and then it just said that it disappeared. How can it disappear? Without that, dockets don't get disappear anymore. But it happens in these matters of Fees Must Fall. It's a tragedy. It's sad, actually.
In terms of presidential pardons, this is what a lot of students have been calling for. You yourself walked to the union buildings, as well as a number of other Fees Must Fall activists. Why do you think the justice system is hell-bent on prosecuting Fees Must Fall activists?
Well, the Zondo Commission just told us that 5.3 million was used on ghost spies on FISMAS 4. So they have to prosecute. They have to have some people in jail so that they can justify the 5.3 million that was used by the state security agents. We are dealing with thugs here. We are dealing with people who are failing to deal with the real issues. We are dealing with issues of rape. We are dealing with issues of murder. You have a student who is being said that it's a damage to property, it's public violence, it's been languishing in jail. We are being told that the Rook unit cases are being dropped, murder cases are being dropped, Stenhoff cases are being dropped, but you are dealing with small fishes. You are punishing young people, because even if these commissions did happen, but we are saying the sentence is not proportionate to the crime committed. 8 years for public violence, but people who've raped and murdered are walking out. That's ridiculous on the justice system. I don't know how people sleep at night. It's a shame.
Thank you, all right. That is the sentiment from many students, in fact, that Cebo has expressed, that they don't feel that justice is being served, and that Khanya Cekeshe is really being made an example of in order to instill fear in other students not to basically take up the fight of fee-free higher education.
All right, there's Lindo Masikale at court. We'll catch up with you a little bit later on. She says proceedings will start at about 2 p.m. Now, Khanya Cekeshe isn't the only student to land in hot